Welcome, everyone, to another session of the Coach's Corner. And I'm Kavita Ahuja, and I have my colleague in crime here, Carrie. And today we're going to be talking about a very important topic, I believe. Yeah, I think Carrie will agree. It's called, the topic is really finding your passion. And before we start, I'd like to thank again Next Group for providing this platform for learning and growth. And again, a reminder if anyone, we really would love some feedback on how you're enjoying these videos. And if there's any other particular topics that you would love us to review, we're very open to that. So please do share any topics that are of interest to you. But today, we thought we would discuss the importance of finding our passions, especially in this stage of life where maybe that you are looking to find your next career or your next thing in life, rediscovering yourself. So I guess I would put it to you, Carrie. Why do you, if you do, and why do you think it's important to find your passions, and how has that maybe played out in your life, or how do you teach your clients the same?
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you, Kavita. Nice to be with everyone here again. I think that finding your passion is like finding that core energy, that core zest that just brings you out in this world, as you're going about your career, but also about your personal life too. Um,
Hmm.
I I learned super early on what it's like when you don't follow your passion, and I think that was an early learning that I had, that has since like really motivated me to always continuously tune in to what is my passion and what's energizing me. So what happened early on with me is I took the route of doing what I should do, and
Mm-hmm.
so that was I was an economics major in college and I should go work at investment banking in New York City right after. So I did that. I kind of followed the hers and I did that. And at the time I didn't know any better and there were pluses to the decision, but I learned quickly, very quickly that it was not aligned at all with my passion or
Right.
my interest or my skills. And back in the day there, when we would go to the Barnes and Nobles to actually like read a paper book, I went and I found this book off the shelf called Do What You Are. And it was so pivotal for me because it took your Myers-Briggs. Many of the listeners might have heard of this Myers-Briggs. It's one of many different personality style indicators. Through the Myers-Briggs assessment, it then identifies some potential career paths and directions for you. And so
Hmm.
when I took that, Do What You Are assessment, it said, for me, Carrie, I'm best aligned with things in the services space, whether that's human resources, healthcare,
Mm.
coaching. And it was just like, yes, like this makes so much sense, like based
Right.
on what I value, what my strengths are, my passion of how I really want to show up in this world. That was the career path for me. And so, I haven't looked back because I did enter HR and have since turned HR into my coaching, but I just want to
Amazing.
share that because I think it takes a lot of courage to also say, what I'm doing right now does not align with my passions.
Hmm.
So I'm going to
Hmm.
take a pause and I'm going to reevaluate this
Absolutely.
because,
Yeah.
life is short. And, when we're fully empowered and in the driver's seat, we can, make the choices to choose that career, to choose those activities that really align with our passions.
Such a great story. Yeah, no, that's such a great example. And I absolutely believe it. Like, I mean, we are in the, like you said, we're in the driver's seat, but we have the ability at this stage and any stage really to create the life that we want. And it doesn't, a lot of people think, oh, well, I can't really do what I'm passionate about because that's not realistic.
Mm-hmm.
But what can you do? You can bring something into your day every
Mm-hmm.
day, that whether it's, writing or art or even spending time with somebody that you love that you're passionate about, it's those things that you bring in. And I often talk about uh well, I think there's like three things that align, and I think you mentioned it, that one is your strengths, one is your passions, and the second is your strength. First strengths,
Mm-hmm.
second passions, and third is your values. So if those
Yeah.
three things are aligned, then it's kind of like um that's where the flow happens, right? And that's where you become energized. I talk a lot about positive anabolic energy, and that energy brings you into flow so that you just feel great about what you're doing. And
Mhm.
that finding that. And I often we can talk about how you actually work with your clients, but I'll give you an example of one of the
Yeah.
things that I
Yeah.
I share with my clients is how do we actually find what we're passionate about,
Mhm.
right? Like, how do we even go about? Because often these passions and these what we love to do are buried, like they're buried within us, and it's about bringing those out. So I often ask my clients, so what were you passionate about when you were a child? Like, what did you just love to do
Yeah.
as a kid? And can you bring out that passion that may have been buried into today?
Mhm.
And I have a funny story about that, but if I think about my own life when I was a kid, I used to run around pretending I was a reporter. Every chance I get, I had a microphone and I would go run around and I would ask and interview anybody that I could see. I just loved it. I
Mm.
loved, finding and learning about people, and I just forgot about that. And then now that I look back, I'm like, oh, I'm kind of doing that now because I'm interviewing people for my podcast, with a real microphone. So it's like,
Mhm.
it's just about opening your rather than going into your mind, opening up your
Mhm.
heart. What does
Yeah.
your heart say? When does your heart sing? Right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm. Mhm.
it's an interesting exercise to think about what you were passionate about as a child. So
Yeah. Oh, that's
what
so
other things do
fun.
you do perhaps with your clients?
Yeah, oh, that's such a fun idea, Kavita. And I was also thinking, like you as a coach, right? You ask so many insightful
Right.
questions as a
Yes.
coach to your clients. Yeah. So some of the questions I ask very early on with client engagements are, what lights you up?
Hmm.
Um, Another thing I really ask and work with my clients on is like, when do you find like you're showing up from your essence? And that comes again from that flow that you were talking about.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
like there's an ease, there's a flow, it's an authenticity. So, like, what are you doing during your day where that just you notice that you're showing up from that space?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Um, and 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 I think there's another element here to consider that sometimes the passion can be tied even to something even greater than yourself in the sense that like you could be I often think of these like different zones of work. Sometimes you might be in a job where you don't like it and you're not good at it. There's another type of a job where you're good at it but honestly someone could probably do it better than you, and it's maybe it could be automated or something like that. Then
Yeah.
there's the type of space where you're really good at your job and you like it. Okay, so you like it, you're really good at it, you like it, so people do a lot of work in the space, but there might be that missing passion, like that missing why, right? And
Yeah.
that's what's
Yeah.
like, are you connected to a mission or something greater than yourself?
Mm.
And so I know some people, they might not necessarily find like their full bunch of passion from the job itself, but the company they're tied in with really allows them to
Right.
like lean into that passion.
Mm. Yeah, that's great. It's taking it away from really maybe yourself, but more about your
Mhm.
why. And
Mhm.
if the why is powerful enough to lead you forward, then that's a good thing too.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's great.
Mhm. Yeah.
As
Yeah.
you were talking, I was thinking about another kind of exercise which could be fun that even you can do in the next week. For example, I often suggest this. It's looking at they're called red and green activities.
Okay.
So you look at your week and you look at your day and what you do, and let's say you kind of make a note of the things that you do, the tasks that you do, right?
Mhm.
And you have two categories. The red activities are those things that kind of deplete your energy. They're things that you just kind of don't like doing, put
Mhm.
them off. Time goes really slowly when you're doing them, and it just drains you, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the green activities, as you would imagine, are those that light you up, like you said earlier. You really enjoy doing, you're passionate about. Time flies.
Mhm. Mhm.
So the key is like, look and see in your week and how much of these green activities do you do? And is it possible
Mhm.
to actually increase the amount of these green activities and maybe decrease the red activities? Or
Yeah.
maybe there's, I mean, maybe some things you have to do, like,
Yeah.
you have to do housework, for example. Like everybody, I don't
Mm,
know anybody that really loves to do housework, but maybe there's somewhere you can
yeah.
delegate those things so that you can
Hmm.
free up that time to do the
Hmm.
things that
Hmm.
the green activities, so that those things that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and it's like I said, it doesn't have to be huge. Even if you put some of these things on a daily basis, I
Mhm.
think that it really um gives a little bit more energy and interest and passion into your life, which I think we all need, right?
Yeah. Right. Like,
Yeah.
why not? Right. If not
Yeah.
now, then when? If not now, then
Yeah.
when?
Yeah, exactly.
I love that exercise, Kavita, because it's simple. It's
Mhm.
simple, and it encourages you just to like pause and reflect. And I think that's one of the great things, about coaching and the work that you do and I do, is that like these little tips and tricks, they don't have to be this big, massive shifts or loads of work. It's
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
really just tweaking some of the things you're already doing and integrating
Mhm.
them into your life, like this red
Mhm.
and green exercise. Like, what a terrific one to do. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it boils down to, I think you mentioned and I mentioned a few times, is that energy piece. And when you have the
Mhm.
positive energy in your life, whether that's coming from your work, from your personal life, if
Mhm.
you're doing things that you're passionate about, that releases this energy, which puts you in a flow. And
Yes.
when you're in flow, then the creation begins, that you can
Mhm.
create. You're in flow with other people, things happen, things come to
Mhm.
you,
Mhm.
uncanny things, like you're just open to more things, and you'll be amazed how positive things move to you, and so that's just one of the philosophies I have. But I think that
Mhm.
if people think that way, then I think even if it's a small thing, like what can you do in the next hour that's going to bring you a little bit of passion and joy,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Aside from the microphone, Kavita, that you
Uh,
mentioned, that was a passion as a child, and now
yes.
you're of course doing your podcast. What's one of your passions that you like to integrate into your days and weeks?
Oh, I one of my biggest passions is writing. I love to write.
Mhm.
And I always used to write. Read a lot. I also used to write really like pretty fascinating like short stories when I was a kid.
Okay.
And when I do that, even now, like when I write and I get into that flow state, it's
Mhm.
like I could do it forever, right?
Mhm.
So I am hoping, well, I am going to be writing a book in the next little while. So let's see where
Ooh.
that comes. So yeah, I really do want to, and I have to make the time. Like you just have to make the
Mhm.
time for the
Mhm.
things that you prioritize and that that you're passionate about. So that's one of the things. What about you?
Mhm. Yeah. One thing I've learned about myself, and I think this is a form of passion, is being in community with others. Um,
Ah,
for me, I find I am actually an introvert, and I get a lot of energy just like being alone and having my own space. However, I get a lot of energy when I bring women together, especially. It could be like a ladies' night, right, with friends, or it could be like a group coaching
mhm.
scenario where you just bring people together and you all of your energy comes together and it's just like this greater sum. So
Nice.
yeah, I
Yeah.
have found that, and I've noticed this like in my flow of my work. Like if I have a week where I don't have a lot of community or just interaction and it's more just like me, like heads down on my work,
Yes.
those are not energizing weeks for me. I
No.
need to have a balance, but I need to
Yeah.
have that form of connection and
Yeah.
community.
That reminds me, that's really important to recognize that, because that's something that we can incorporate into our lives. So I often ask my clients, what would your ideal job look like? Like like
Mm.
not necessarily the task, but let's say the environment. Are you at home? Are you in an office? Are you, what type of people are you dealing with? Are you interacting with? So even if you could kind of create a vision of what is your ideal job that would really make you passionate or create, increase that love or happiness within you. So and then I think you're right on. Like if whatever energizes you, that's where you need to be. Right. So fantastic. That's great. Well, I think we had some nice tips here and some,
Yeah.
positive feedback on the topic of passions. And
Mhm.
if there's any feedback from this, or if anybody tries any of these exercises and find that they're useful, please let us know. Again, please let us know if there's any other topics that you're interested in. We'd love to talk about those, or to share, or any other type of format that you think would be interesting, that you'd like to learn from, because everybody learns differently. So if there's any other type of format that you'd like us to address, that would be great. But I guess for now, unless there's anything else, Kara, you have any other last comments, or?
No, just grateful for those listening. Just we stand for you and creating what you want. And yeah, until next time. Thanks, Kavita.
Thank you.